You were eating dinner, watching something, minding your own business. Then you picked up your phone, and everything inside you shifted. Now you feel like you're falling behind in a race you never signed up for. Someone you haven't spoken to in years just bought a house. Someone younger than you just hit a milestone you've been chasing. Before you can even think about it, your brain already does the math. Their life minus yours. The answer lands in your stomach like a stone, and it sits there, refusing to dissolve. You lock the screen, put the phone face down on the table. But it doesn't matter because the number is already in your head. And now you're doing that thing again. The thing you swore you'd stop doing a long time ago. You're scanning your entire life like a resume, searching for something impressive enough to quiet the feeling down. Your job, your apartment, your savings. Would any of it look good in a caption right now? Your body, your relationship, your daily routine, does any of it measure up to what you just saw on that screen? You hate that you're doing this because you know it's irrational. You've read the quotes and heard the advice 100 times. You've told yourself comparison is the thief of joy, and you meant it every time. But here you are again. Same spiral, same quiet sinking. The worst part isn't the comparison itself. The worst part is that you cannot stop. You've tried gratitude journals, digital detoxes, and every affirmation you could find online. None of it kills the reflex because nobody told you what's actually happening inside your brain. Most people think this is a confidence problem that more willpower can fix. They believe if you just trusted yourself enough, the comparing would finally stop for good. But that's not what's happening when the spiral starts. What's actually going on is far more mechanical and far less personal than anyone ever told you. Your brain isn't judging you. It's mapping your exact position in a social landscape that never stops shifting. It's running a social positioning system that evolved over hundreds of thousands of years and has no off switch. If that sounds painfully familiar, it doesn't mean you are broken. You're running ancient survival software inside a world it was never designed for. In this video, I'm going to walk you through 5 reasons your brain keeps comparing you to everyone. Each reason reveals a different layer of the machine running underneath the feeling you can't seem to shake. And the last one might completely change the way you understand yourself. Number 1. Your brain has a built-in social ranking system, and it never stops updating your position. You're sitting in a meeting, everyone around a table, laptops open. Someone across from you makes the exact point you were about to make, but they say it smoother and faster. They deliver it with that casual confidence that makes the whole room nod in approval. Your boss smiles at them, and the energy in the room shifts toward their side of the table. Something inside you clicks. Not like a thought, more like a dial turning one notch to the left. You didn't decide to feel smaller, and you didn't choose to care about what just happened. The feeling arrived on its own, automatic, uninvited, and impossible to argue with. That happens because deep in your reward system sits a region called the Ventral Striatum. This area doesn't just respond to your wins and losses. It responds to how your outcomes stack up against the outcomes of people sitting right next to you. When you come out ahead in a social situation, the ventral striatum releases a small hit of dopamine that feels like relief. When you fall behind, it goes quiet and sends a low discomfort signal that your body reads as failure. Not because you're petty, or insecure, or lacking something important, but because for most of human history, your social rank was the most important survival information your brain could track. Your position inside the group determined access to food, shelter, and protection from threats. People who tracked their rank survived longer than people who ignored it. So your brain automated the entire ranking process, the way it automates breathing and body temperature. It ranks you constantly, silently, without ever asking for your permission or your input. You don't choose to feel cold when the temperature drops around you. You don't choose to feel ranked when someone outperforms you either. The system is doing exactly what it was designed to do. It's just running in a world where outperformed means a stranger's Instagram reel. Number 2, you're not just watching other people. You're simulating their lives inside your own brain. A friend posts vacation photos from Greece. Blue water so bright it looks completely unreal. White buildings stacked on cliffs, a plate of food with the sea glowing warm behind it. For a split second, you don't just see the photo. You feel something. A flicker of warmth, a phantom taste of salt, a brief sense of what their freedom might feel like. You almost sense what it might be like to wake up there and live that kind of life. Then the feeling vanishes, and what remains is the gap. That flicker isn't your imagination being dramatic or your emotions spinning out of control. It's your mirror neuron system activating in direct response to what you just saw on that screen. Mirror neurons are cells that fire both when you do something and when you watch someone else do the same thing. They're the reason you flinch when you see someone stub their toe. They're the reason your jaw tightens when someone bites into something sour. And they're the reason someone else's success doesn't register as neutral information. It briefly registers as your own lived experience. Your brain runs a micro-simulation of what their life might feel like from the inside. Then reality snaps back, and the simulated version crashes hard against your actual life. That distance between the experience your brain simulated and the life you're living is where comparison lives. Not because you're envious by nature or because something fundamental is wrong with you, but because your brain is wired to model what others feel and then measure the distance between their experience and yours. It's a neurological echo that was originally designed to help you learn by watching other people. It just happens to feel like a wound when the gap between the echo and your reality is wide. Number 3. Your brain keeps running comparisons even when you're trying to rest and do nothing. It's late at night and you've put the phone down on your nightstand. The room is dark, the house is quiet, and you genuinely want to sleep. But your mind has entirely different plans for you tonight. Instead of drifting off, it pulls up a slideshow of everyone who seems to be doing better. The friend who bought a house last year without struggling at all? The coworker who got promoted while you're stuck in the same spot? The ex who seems lighter now, happier, like leaving fixed everything. You didn't ask for this slideshow, and you didn't open anything on your phone. Your brain is generating comparisons entirely from the inside, using memories you stored months ago. This happens because of what neuroscientists call the default mode network, a web of brain regions that wakes up when you stop focusing. The default mode network builds your identity, replays your past, and imagines versions of your future that haven't happened yet. And one of its core jobs is measuring you against everyone it remembers. When your brain has nothing else to do, it starts comparing your current self against other people automatically. Not because you're self-obsessed or because you enjoy torturing yourself at night, but because the brain uses social comparison as its primary form of internal calibration, its way of checking your position. It's trying to answer a question it never stops asking. Am I on track or am I falling behind? And the only data points it trusts to answer that question are other people. So even when you remove every screen and every notification from the room, the engine still runs. The comparison machine doesn't need the outside world to keep operating. It has enough stored material inside your memory to compare for hours without new input. Number 4. Social media didn't create the urge to compare. It removed the ceiling entirely. Think about this for a moment and let the true scale of it sink in. 100 years ago, the average person compared themselves to maybe 30 other people in their daily life. Neighbors, co-workers, the cousin who did well, the family across the street. That was the full reference group. Because the group was small and stable, your brain's ranking system could eventually settle into a quiet position. It could reach a conclusion, assign you a place, and finally stop scanning for new threats. Now think about what happens every single time you open an app today. You compare yourself to thousands. Actors, influencers, CEOs, strangers with curated morning routines designed to look effortless. That ventral striatum from the first point, the social ranking circuit in your brain, was designed for a village. Now it's trying to process a stadium full of strangers it will never actually meet in person. This connects to what psychologists describe as the problem of a constantly expanding reference group. When the group you measure yourself against is small and fixed, genuine satisfaction is possible. When the group is infinite and refreshes every second, your brain never reaches a stable reading about where you stand. Every single scroll introduces a brand new data point. Every new face becomes a fresh benchmark your brain measures you against. Every notification forces the ranking system to recalculate your position from scratch. The problem isn't that you compare. That part is completely normal and deeply human. The problem is that the comparison never finishes, never concludes, and never lets your brain rest. It's like trying to measure something with a ruler that keeps stretching longer every second you hold it. You're not actually falling behind. The finish line itself is the thing that's moving away from you. Your brain can't tell the difference between genuinely falling behind and chasing a target that won't stop moving. It just keeps scanning and ranking and telling you the calculation isn't finished yet. That low hum of inadequacy you feel after scrolling for 20 minutes isn't weakness or some personal flaw. It's your positioning system overheating because the modern world asks it to process more data than it was ever built to handle. Now let's pull all of this together before the final point. Your brain ranks you automatically, every day, without you choosing it. It simulates other people's experiences, and you cannot turn it off. It runs self-comparisons in the background, even lying still at rest. And the digital world has stripped away every natural limit that used to keep this ancient system in check. 4 layers of a machine, each one running without your permission. Each one feeding that quiet, persistent sense that you're behind, that you're not enough, that everyone else knows something you don't. But here's where it gets deeper than anything we've talked about. There's a 5th layer sitting underneath all the others, and it changes absolutely everything. Once you see it, you might realize the comparison was never really about other people at all. Number 5. You're not comparing yourself to other people. You're comparing yourself to someone who has never existed. Stay with me here, because this is the part that rewrites everything. When you see someone your age who seems to have it all figured out, your brain doesn't actually compare your life to theirs. It can't do that. It doesn't know anything real about their actual daily life. It only knows what it sees on a screen or across a room. So what your brain actually does is compare your real life to the life you believe you should be living by now. The career you should have built by now if you'd chosen differently. The money you should have saved. The body you should have built. The relationship you should have figured out by this point in your life. That perfect version of you, the one you imagined at 22, was never real. But your brain treats that ghost like a blueprint and measures every single day against it. Psychologists call this the gap between what they name the actual self and the ought self. It comes from Self-Discrepancy Theory, a framework developed by psychologist E. Torrey Higgins. The actual self is who you are today, with every mess, detour, and incomplete chapter. The ought self is the version of you that meets every single expectation, yours, your parents, and society's. When the gap between those two versions is wide, you experience a very specific kind of emotional pain that doesn't go away easily. Shame, guilt, anxiety, and that constant draining sense that you're falling behind for reasons you can't quite name. Other people aren't the real source of the pain that keeps cycling through you. They're just mirrors that make the gap between your actual self and your ought self suddenly visible. Every time you see someone who appears ahead, your brain doesn't just register what they achieved. It measures the exact distance between where you are and where your ought self insists you should be standing right now. That's why comparison hurts even when you're actually doing well by every reasonable external standard. Because doing well is never enough when the target is a fictional person who never made a single wrong turn. You're not losing to other people. You're losing to a ghost that lives inside your own expectations of yourself. And the ghost always wins because it never had to live one real day of actual human life. But here's the part that changes everything, if you let it in. That entire machine, the ranking, the simulating, the scanning, isn't proof you're broken. It's proof that you genuinely care about where your life is heading. It's proof that you haven't given up on growth, even when growth feels impossibly slow. People who feel no comparison at all aren't necessarily more confident than you. Many of them have simply stopped wanting anything, and that isn't freedom. The fact that you still feel the sting when someone around you is thriving means something real about who you are. Something inside you still believes you're capable of more than the spot where you're standing right now. That restless, uncomfortable energy after every comparison isn't weakness or a character flaw. It's ambition without a clear direction. And ambition can always be pointed somewhere real. The comparing doesn't need to stop. It just needs a different reference point entirely. Remember the moment at the beginning, the one that started tonight's spiral? The phone face down, the stone in your stomach, the frantic scanning of your own life? You were searching for anything, any single thing that proves you're not behind. That reflex wasn't a judgment about you. It was a compass that lost its coordinates. It's been spinning for years, searching for north in a landscape made entirely of false landmarks. The only landmarks it finds are highlight reels and a fictional version of you that was never actually real. What if you gave that compass a different landmark? Something true this time. Not them, not the ought self, not the ghost that never lived your life. Just the version of you from 6 months ago and one question. Am I closer? That's the only comparison your brain actually needs to settle down. And it's the only comparison that leads somewhere instead of spinning. You're still sitting there, and the phone is still face down. The stone is still in your stomach, but something about it is different. Now you know exactly what it's made of. Every single layer. And a stone you can name is a stone you can set down. If this changed the way you see comparison, hit subscribe. There's more coming. And tell me in the comments, when you catch yourself comparing, what actually hits harder? Is it about what someone else has, or about who you think you should have been?